Hello everyone, welcome back to Mentos Plays Rogue Legacy. I know I said the last episode would be the last episode in the series, but after having beaten New Game Plus and getting to New Game Plus 2, I really felt the need to pop on here again and show off just how ridiculous New Game Plus 2 is. To say that it's much more difficult is an understatement. Now first I'd like you to look at my stats, which are pretty good. 44 to 75 health, 70 of 75 damage. I've got 4 levels in Death Defy, so I've got a 6% chance to not die when I take my last hit of damage. I've got a little bit extra invulnerability time after I get hit. So I'm rolling pretty strong here as this Hokage dwarf that we're jumping in as. But let's see what's in the castle here. Let's see what waits for us, because this is the fun part of this level. Let's see now. I'll break this stuff. We do get bonuses to gold, so right now I'm raking in a pretty whopping 26 gold per, and there's a soul lock. Now if you're noticing, these are all enemies that are kind of along the lines of mini bosses that are showing up, and these are the only enemies who do appear. So we're going to be going against a lot of stuff that does a lot of damage to us and has crazily complex attacks that are very hard to dodge. If we manage to beat a boss in this video, I will be very much impressed with myself, because I have been dying like crazy since getting into this new level. So, we will go ahead and jump back in. Let's see, another character. Oh, we also unlocked the dragon. I might as well show that off, even though it's going to get me killed even faster than that. But this is the dragon class, which I didn't actually realize until after I finished the Let's Play. But if you come up here to invuln time up, thanks Norden for letting me know, you can actually scroll up to this level up here, bestiality oddly enough. Half man, half asterisks, all awesome. So the dragon has a couple of special effects here. First of all, it cannot jump, but it can fly forever. It has infinite flying that you can activate at any time. And it does not attack with weapons. It only has these fireballs, which is kind of a pain because, as you'll see when we start destroying stuff, our mana does refill pretty quickly. It kind of jumps up really fast, but at the same time, it is taking mana every time that we attack something. And yes, I did pronounce that 2 different ways on purpose, just to be frustrating. But, so yeah, you know, you can't just spam attacks you can with most classes. Right now we have a Zombishnu. Oh, I forgot I can't jump. This could be the end of us really quick. And also, since I don't have my magic damage raised up, I obviously do much less damage to enemies with magic than I do with weapons. So the dragon is not at all a viable class for me right now, but I wanted to show it off. Let's see now. We can get a Hokage with dementia, or a Hokage with PAD and Alzheimer's. That's a tough choice. We're going to go with this one, because I love peripheral arterial disease in this game. One of the best in the game, in my opinion. On the other hand, we aren't actually going to be able to see our map when we press tab. We're just going to see a bunch of question marks, as will be illustrated as soon as the castle comes up here, because I don't remember if we ran into this trait during the Let's Play or not. Yep, question marks. I don't know where I've been. So, we're going to try to survive long enough to fight a boss. The bosses, oddly enough, from my experience on the first New Game Plus, are actually easier than the random enemies you encounter. Because the bosses, although they scale with your level, don't really do anything more difficult as they get to higher levels. Oh man, we got a visionary down there. Please don't kill me, Mr. Eyeball. But yeah, so you know, as the bosses get to be a higher level, unlike these enemies, they aren't turning into different enemies that are harder. They're just staying as the same enemies that they've always been. So, from a perspective of, oh, I'm gonna get out of there. I would like to kill at least one of these Solocks. Ha, Solocks. Solix. Oh god, I forgot the turrets are all homing turrets, by the way. I should add that. So yeah, as you can see, this has not been going extraordinarily well for me. And this is probably going to be an episode full of me dying over and over again. Because honestly, I have not found a way to make this work well for me. We could be... I guess we're being an archmage because the traits on everyone else kind of are horrible. And again, we barely have enough gold to upgrade anything. Might as well upgrade our critical chance, or critical damage I should say. So of course with the Archmage we can cycle through a few spells. We don't have the best lineup, although axes are pretty good. As is Flame Shield, although that costs consistent mana. And it looks like we have a ridiculously high amount of mana actually. Which is probably a good thing because we're going to need to use our sword a lot, but we're also going to need to make use of this magic or we have no chance. And I guess this is where my strategy of pumping into damage ups has not paid off. Because now the only classes that are really all that useful to me are ones with high damage like the Hokage, which doesn't really help all that much against some of these enemies that we're facing right now. Wow, we have crappy classes twice in a row. I guess we're gonna go with the Lich Queen, which isn't exactly a bad class, just not one that I would pick if I had a choice. But yes, as you can see, we are dying very rapidly every time. Also, we got a Sky Cape, which gives us +2 air jumps, which is really nice. But yeah, we're dying very quickly every time. There's not even really much of a contest here. I definitely need to learn how to survive in this a little bit better, because right now it seems borderline impossible. I know it is possible, but the jump from New Game +1 to New Game +2 is ridiculously high. So we're just going to spam attack these guys, and manage to make it out alive actually. That was a new change of pace. We actually survived through a room. And we're at 194 of... Oh god, homing missiles! Go away, Guard Box 2000! No! Bad Guard Box 2000. Stop it. I have high knockback. No! Oh my lord. And see, this is kind of why I wanted to showcase this. Because I know that I had seen some people who had played through the first New Game Plus and said that the game didn't really have that much replayability. Because, you know, the enemies got a bit harder, yes, but they weren't significantly... they weren't super difficult. I mean, everything was more hectic, there were more things going on, but everything wasn't super difficult. So at the same time as there were kind of that, this is actually a good class for this. Hypergonadism Hokage. And we got not enough money to buy anything. But yeah, so as you can see here, the New Game Plus Plus actually offers a whole lot of replay value to this game because it is significantly more difficult. Apparently my OBS is saying cannot find window, which give me 1 second while I see if there's something else selected. Ah, there is. That's why. Okay, that's gone now. Now I won't get distracted anymore. It was also, I think, slowing things down on my computer, so that should help a little bit with any kind of lag or anything. Oh, God. I hate you, Visionary. I might as well spam attack a couple times after getting hurt on the spikes. I mean, like, I think I need to learn how to use the Hokage's teleport a little bit more effectively. Because I think that would pay off big for our survivability. But, I mean, just... these enemies are high level. They're all mini-boss... well, not really mini-boss, but they're all, like... they're all things that could qualify as a mini-boss, depending on your definition of it. They're kind of the ultra champions. So, you know, I don't think the bosses are going to be that much harder. Honestly, I don't think they will be. But the enemies that you fight to try to get to the boss are now extremely difficult. Here's defeat all enemies. I have no way to do that. I could go back into this room, but I'm not sure why I would want to. So let's go down to the right. Hypergonadism is doing some work for me, but... oh god! Nope, there we go. There we go. There's another death. So I'd like to take a couple moments as well, to put into this video, just kind of a more formal review-esque comment, or commentary. All in all, playing through this game, not just through the first playthrough, but through the second as well, I really do feel like this is a very well put together game. I can't say that there was ever a point where the game got, significantly too easy all around. I mean, admittedly, by the end of my New Game Plus playthrough, I was pretty strong. I was taking out everything in the castle in one hit, everything in the forest in one hit, much like the end of the original playthrough. But, the enemies I was facing on the dungeon were still a bit difficult at least. Although Herodotus, I went down pretty much the same way he did in our Let's Play, which was a matter of just breaking apart every time I hit him and me spamming attacks to kill him. But this is definitely a very well put together game. It is difficult. It controls very well. There is definitely motivation to try out different things. I kind of focused my build on one option. I don't know if that was a wise decision, really. I think that might have actually been kind of foolish. But, obviously the more spread out your points are, the more difficult it is to have any one thing that you necessarily excel at. And you might lag behind the monsters that you're facing because of having too many points too far spread out to have anything that stands up to them who are at the same level with more concentrated stats, if that makes any sense at all. So it does give you reason to experiment, but it also gives you reason to kind of try to pick the main kind of playstyle you want to go for, whether that's melee combat, magic, whatever the case may be. It does kind of encourage you to pick up... Oh yeah, I have PAD, I can just walk over this. This is the easiest fairy chest ever. But yeah, it does encourage you to... Sorry, I completely lost my train of thought when I said that. It does encourage you to switch up your playstyle, but also to find what you want to do and kind of roll with it. Obviously you can switch up playstyles as you go on, and the increased amount of gold you get each time you go through New Game Plus or onwards does help you to be able to change things up as you see fit. But at the same time, this is not a game where you're going to be switching up your abilities immensely between runs. You might be able to work something out in the long run, but on a run-to-run basis, you're going to be playing pretty much the same way that you played the run before, and slowly working your way toward a different possibility. When I first beat it, I thought that, the game was a decent length, but if it didn't have much for the New Game Pluses, that's kind of, it's a fun game, but does it hold up to going through it multiple times, coming back to play the game again? Because a game that's as long as this one took us originally isn't really that long. So, my worry was, is the New Game Plus actually going to be worth playing through again? Now, the first time through New Game Plus, it was more of a challenge. It definitely encouraged me to build up my stats a lot and try my best to keep on par with the enemies. But at the same time, they weren't really enemies that we weren't fighting on a common basis before. They were just enemies appearing earlier that we used to fight on a common basis. So, we were seeing enemies that we would run into on the dungeon on the original new game. We were running into them on the castle, and things like that. So, it wasn't really all that much different, I guess is what I'm getting at. Things started out harder, but by the time that you were kind of equipped to handle those enemies as well as you could handle the original castle enemies, then it's not that much different than a normal run-through once you're at the point that you're to the dungeon. So I still wasn't sure, even after my first New Game Plus playthrough, what kind of replayability this game had. But from my view so far on this second New Game Plus / third playthrough, it definitely seems like the game does make itself extremely difficult as you get further on in order to... There's the Land of Darkness. I don't think we want to be there just yet. In order to make itself... Oh, that hurt. In order to make itself more of a feasible option. And I know that I just gave him all his health back, but he was about to charge at me with sword strikes that I had no chance at stopping. So, it was pretty much my choice between that and getting killed, and I chose not to get killed. So this run is going decently so far. This is probably the best run that I have yet had on this level of New Game Plus, which is kind of saying something to consider I have 3,000 gold and I've killed like 5 enemies, but Oops, that was stupid. So, but once I got to back to the thought at hand before, oh, it could hit me through there. Back to the thought at hand there. Essentially, the thing that I have to say on that is that once you do get to the higher levels, the New Game Plus the New Game Plus 2 that I'm at now, similarly, other high level, I'm sure the New Game Plus is going onwards, don't get any easier, if not, they get even harder. But, you know, once you get worked up to the point when you're facing these levels of difficulty, it definitely does have replay value. There is reason to go back and play more, because you are going to be fighting things that make the game difficult enough to warrant another playthrough. So that's kind of my thoughts on replayability on this game, which was my main worry when it came to the end of my Let's Play, was just, am I going to be able to play this game again and again, or is this something I'm going to play once and then be done with? And the answer to that is, I do want to keep playing this, at least till the point where the New Game Pluses stop spawning new types of enemies, and instead work on the idea of making the enemies that have spawned stronger. Because I feel like, oh, that was stupid. We are going to die very shortly, just letting you know that. There we go. Actually, we might not just yet, but pretty soon. But yeah, so now that I know that it has replayability, I have no qualms whatsoever about recommending this game for purchase. It's a very fun game in its own right to begin with. The New Game Pluses make the game worth playing again. There's a ton of stuff to upgrade and a ton of different playstyles you can choose from. Once I begin to spread my points out more, I feel like I'm going to have a lot of options that are all very, very good for us to try out. Although right now, obviously, my focus has been on my attack strength, which we are going to continue to increase. Because I will almost always work on the assumption that the more damage I do to enemies, the more damage that I'm not taking from their attacks. Because I'm going to kill them quicker before they can do as many attacks. So, as a whole, I'm not going to give this some kind of arbitrary number rating. I'm not going to give it some kind of, you know, rating system that, depending on who you are, means entirely different things. Instead, what I'm going to do is say this. If you're a fan of action platformers, a fan of roguelikes, even though they have even though it has a persistentness to its progression, if you're a fan of roguelikes, a fan of action platformers, you're probably going to really enjoy this game. It is very well controlling. It is very complex, very deep in terms of what you can do. Granted, you know all the moves for the most part from the beginning. There are still secrets to be found. I just found out today that if you hit down an A with a paladin class after you've unlocked the paladin class, obviously, since you begin out with the knight, not the paladin. But once you've unlocked them, you have the ability to hit down an A and pull off a Super Mario Bros. 3-esque Tanuki suit move, where you turn into a statue. Now, while it constantly drains your mana, which makes it not something you can sustain for very long, it also allows you completely to damage enemies without any risk of damage to yourself, which is very useful against bosses who don't take as much knockback, and who you can just kind of allow the statue attacking to do a lot of work for you. Similarly, these harder enemies are all worth of a challenge, all worth learning. Although you know their patterns from the enemies that you fought before, they do have their own unique quirks, as you saw the little guy before, who now shoots bolts that go through walls instead of shooting ones that are blocked by walls, making him a significantly bigger annoyance. But the key point of this review is not to say that this is, you know, an 8 out of 10 or 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10, whatever the case may be. The key point of this review is to say that this is a very enjoyable game. We do have a clown here. It looks like we're going to be doing the axes. Very good. I do kind of wish that we had the not the Archmage, the Spell Sword, because I feel like making the bigger axes would be a big boost to this minigame. Let's see if we can't beat this for the first time. Oh, that's more than 10. 13! We were 3 away from beating it! I really want to know what the big prize is for beating that game. But yeah, you know, it's, not about arbitrary rankings or anything. This is about me telling you that if you play this game and you enjoy the genre that it falls into, you're going to have a good time and you're going to get your $15 worth. Honestly, I consider having more than an hour played for every dollar I spend on the game to be a good sign of a value proposition. It's not necessarily enough to say that the game is worth it, because sometimes, you know, games have just a lot of grinding that takes up a lot of time that's not fun in its own right, and that makes it so that you spend more hours in the game than you had money, but you're only progressing at a very short speed. I don't feel that's the case in Rogue Legacy. You do have to grind a bit if you want to succeed, but it's not a matter of you can die. No, stop throwing giant suns at me. In case you didn't notice the pun there, his name is Sollock, and of course Sol is the name of the sun that makes up the star that makes up our sun. But yeah, you know, there is we do find a boss. This is interesting, because I'm pretty sure that I could beat the boss easily, so we are going to do this. I'm pretty sure that, you know, if you enjoy this type of game, you are going to enjoy this game. It's very well put together. I do enjoy the humor in it. I do enjoy kind of all the different little quirks it has. Okay, we did take some stupid damage, but not that much. And we are doing insane amounts of damage to Kidder. I still don't know how to pronounce that name appropriately, I won't lie. But this guy is going to drop easily despite being level 206. Those extra double jumps do come in handy, and we just beat the boss in a few seconds worth of time. That is how much easier the bosses are than the enemies that you face on a room-to-room basis in New Game Plus Plus. And we do get some armor up, a strength increase, and a magic damage increase as rewards for beating him. But yeah, this is a game that I feel nailed its target very well. You know, there are a lot of games that are made that kind of have this target that they're going for, this type of gameplay, or this, why can I not hit this guy anymore? Oh well, we're getting out of here. You know, they have this target they're going for, and they just don't really hit the mark. Either the gameplay is not holding up to it, or there's something else going on, like this picture is an enemy. We can tell that because of our eidetic memory. You know, either the gameplay doesn't hold up to it, or, you know, they just don't have enough content. This game falls into neither of those traps. In this game, there is more than enough content to keep you occupied for many hours. There's reason to play it again. The castle variation is definitely a beneficial element to it. If it was the same layout every time you went in, I'm pretty sure that it would be a much worse game than it actually is. We're going to let him do his little swinging sword attack, and then we're going to kill him easily. So we're building up a lot of gold on this run. But yeah, so there is that risk when you're looking at a game like this, that, you know, when it was in its demo, it looked like it was holding up pretty well, but then it got to full release, and it just didn't have the same flair that it had in the demo. This game is not that case. This game is something that is well worth the $15, especially worth it if you got it for the 10 during the pre-order phase. It's something that there's a lot to experiment with, a lot to change up as the runs go on. And all in all, it's just a very fun game. It's something that I can keep coming back to because I really enjoy my time with it. So now, real quick, we're going to upgrade. Should we try to max out our strength? Let's see how close we can get. 74 of 75. So if we can get just 86, 70 gold, we can upgrade our strength to 75 out of 75, which will give us, obviously, the most amount of damage we can do on a given time. After that, there are various things we can try to focus on upgrading, but it's going to depend on what kind of playstyle I want going forward. You know, the Hokage is a very good class early on in your playing, because the extra damage it does is hugely useful, but by this point, with my strength almost maxed out, you know, it might be more useful to try to level up my, say, critical hit chance and damage, and then play as an assassin who's going to be getting critical hits at wildly high paces and doing tons of damage with them. Is that more beneficial? Probably. So, you know, it does encourage you, especially in this portion of the game, I feel, to not just focus on one class type, because it's not going to last you through the whole game. As much as I may love playing as a Hokage, it's not going to be something that I can just keep up through here in New Game Plus' Beyond, because it just doesn't do the kind of damage that I feel other classes that are sufficiently upgraded will do in the future. We almost just got ourselves killed on the spikes there. Luckily we have a bunch of double jumps to help us out. I am curious if there's an achievement for getting our strength maxed out, so I am kind of working my way toward that much gold, but whether I'll be able to survive long enough to get it or not, I'm not looking too hot right now on that front. Although we are doing pretty well against some enemies. That guy just took a crazy amount of hits. So, you know, obviously things are getting harder as more enemies are spitting out projectiles that can hit me through walls, as more enemies are spitting out almost bullet hell amounts of projectiles, a la these eyeballs here. I almost just stood on those spikes. That wouldn't have been very smart. And we did kill him quick. You know, we are getting some critical hits. Obviously we're an assassin, so they aren't becoming as common as I would like, but how much is our percentage? 25% for 300 damage. So, you know, is that more useful than the Hokage's just strength increase, inherent strength increase? I think it might be, because I feel like this run is going better than a lot of the Hokage runs that we've done so far on this video. So, you know, obviously we're going to keep playing until this character dies. I think that that will be the end of this video once we max out our strength and see if we get an achievement. All in all, the key point to take home from this video is if you enjoy the videos of this game, if you enjoy this type of gameplay, you're going to enjoy Rogue Legacy when you play it for yourself. There's almost no doubt in my mind on that. This is the kind of game where you can pretty much tell if you're going to like it just based on if you like the genre, because it is a very good example of the genres that it encompasses. You know, it's got a bit of that roguelike element, it's got a bit of platformer, it's got a bit of action in it. I don't want to hit that, I want to kill this Ghastly and this painting. That was stupid of me, but we did kill the painting. We got a couple hundred more gold. We got another chicken leg, drumstick so to speak. But yeah, so, you know, if you enjoy this genre, you're going to enjoy this game. There's no doubt in my mind that it is well worth the money for anyone who likes this type of genre. If you don't like the genre of, you know, action platformer, will you enjoy this game? I think it's very possible, especially if you're a fan of games like Dark Souls that push you to deal with high difficulty areas where you don't have much in the way of longevity. And your progression is both helpful and entirely non-essential. You know, you can beat this whole game, I'm sure, without ever leveling up, just by knowing the enemies well enough and controlling yourself well enough. So this is what I have to say in that respect. If you enjoy any type of game that's difficult, anything that's going to be a challenge to you, anything that is going to cause you to... We're going to go on Paladin so I can also show off the statue real quick because I think it's cool. Maxed out strength. No achievement, unfortunately. Also, we do have a lot of new equipment here. That's another big thing, is there is a lot of different equipment to come through, and there are different benefits to some. Like right now I've got this on, which is giving me 100 armor with this royal chest. I could take 50 less armor and 15 more weight, but get 4% critical chance, 15% critical damage, and 50% damage return on hit. So, you know, there is a lot of variety in how you can play. As you can see, there's my little statue guy. You can see my MP kind of tweaking out as it tries to drain and refill at the same time. So we're going to leave it on this. And if you enjoy any type of a game that's a challenge, especially if you enjoy the platformer genre or action platformer genre, if you enjoy games with roguelike elements, go pick up this game on Steam. It's $15. It's not that expensive for a game that you can get a lot of hours with. The difficulty is there to begin with, and it definitely ramps up to keep this challenging into the New Game Plus Plus territory. Obviously, there are other challenges you can do, like no equipment, no upgrades, whatever your idea may be, that can add even more longevity to the game. And really, it's just fun seeing how much you can learn and grow with the game. And eventually, I'm sure one thing I want to do is reset my save so I can see how much these harder difficulties have made the easier difficulties almost simplistic to me, which I'm sure is going to happen. So thank you all for watching this little look at New Game Plus Plus / review of Rogue Legacy. I'm not sure. This might be back on the channel in the future. I know that I said before that it was over, but I'm still playing a lot of this game, and I still feel like there may be things to show off, so I don't want to just write it off completely at this point. I think I spoke prematurely. But as mentioned, by the time this video goes up, because it is a week from today when it's supposed to happen, we will have a third series I'm going to be doing a lot of, which will be my series on the alpha for Delver's Drop. And so, it's going to be tough to try to balance putting up more Rogue Legacy videos on a common basis with that going on, but to have an occasional, an occasional Rogue Legacy video to show off what I'm doing at the moment or show off something that I've learned, I think that's a very good possibility. I might also try to get myself better enough to try to do single run-throughs or single character run-throughs to try to see if I can, on the original New Game or New Game Plus, get a character to a point where I feel it's possible and then run through all 4 bosses without dying once. I want to try to do that at some point, and if I do, you can bet I'm going to record it to show my success if I get it. So it won't be completely gone, but the commonality of episodes, as my backlog dwindles for this game, will definitely decrease. But anyway, I've talked to you long enough while sitting on the same screen. Thank you all for watching. As usual, any kind of support for the stream in the ways of likes, comments, subscriptions, anything is much appreciated. But more importantly, just thank you for stopping by. I enjoy the views, whether you guys let me know that you viewed or not. I like knowing that at least some people have been entertained by things. So I'm happy to have you all. Anyway, have a good day, night, whenever, guys. I'll see you next time.